Most of the videos you've seen on this topic are lying to you. They tell you that anyone can start these businesses because they want your view. What they don't tell you is that most people who start them will make exactly $0. Accessibility is not the same thing as profitability. Just because you can sign up for a platform in 5 minutes doesn't mean that platform owes you a paycheck. Today, we're stripping away the hype. We're going to categorize 10 income streams, not by how interesting they sound, but by their leverage, their time to income window, and their actual failure rate. Some of these will waste your time if you pick them too early. The reality of the 9 to 5 constraint. If you're watching this, you likely have a full-time job, maybe 2 to 4 hours in the evening, a fixed set of financial obligations, and a limited amount of mental bandwidth after a full working day. You don't need a hustle that functions like a second job with no upside. You need a system. The mistake most beginners make is trading those limited evening hours for low-leverage tasks that never scale. You end up working a digital assembly line, active the entire time with nothing compounding underneath you. To avoid that, everything in this video runs through one framework: the leverage ladder. Income follows leverage, not urgency. If you're in a rush to make money today, you will almost always sacrifice your ability to build income tomorrow. Keep that trade-off in mind as we go through each tier. The 3-tier structure. Think of online income in 3 distinct tiers. Tier 1 is quick turnaround work, low barrier to entry, fast feedback, limited ceiling. Then this is where you start if you need proof that the internet can send you money, or if your financial situation requires movement within weeks, not months. Tier 2 is skill-based services. Higher barrier, longer ramp-up, but real earning potential and room to grow. This is where most working professionals should be actively building. Tier 3 is asset and platform income. Long timelines, high uncertainty, but compounding returns once the foundation is in place. This is where you eventually want to be, not where you start. The highest paying options on this list won't pay you first. That's not a reason to avoid them. It's a timing consideration. Understanding which tier matches your current constraints is the actual leverage point. Tier 1. Quick cash, low ceiling. These are entry-level options. Then they require almost no specialized skill, which is exactly why they carry the most competition and the lowest pay. Microtasking and data labeling. You are helping AI systems learn by identifying images, transcribing short audio clips, or completing simple classification work. Setup is minimal. You can see your first income within 1 to 2 weeks. The reality: you are competing with a global workforce, and the pay reflects that. Use this only if you need to confirm to yourself that online income is real and accessible. Do not build a strategy around it. Basic reselling, finding undervalued items at charity shops, clearance sections, or local marketplaces, and relisting them at a higher price on platforms like eBay or Vinted. The model is straightforward. Sourcing judgment plus platform demand equals margin. The reality: this is highly active work. When you stop sourcing, the income stops. It teaches you real market instincts, but it is a job, not a system. Treat it as a starting point, not a destination. This is where most beginners choose wrong. They stay in Tier 1 indefinitely, collecting small wins, never building anything that compounds, and end up earning less per hour than their actual job while adding more stress to their week. Tier 2, skill-based, growth potential. This is where skill leverage begins. You are no longer just a pair of hands completing a task. You are solving a specific problem for a specific type of client. Freelance copywriting, writing emails, ads, landing pages, or content for businesses that need to communicate clearly and convert readers into customers. Setup difficulty: moderate. A skill requirement: moderate to high. Time to consistent income: typically 2 to 6 months, depending on niche and how aggressively you build a portfolio. The reality: income varies significantly based on your ability to demonstrate results for clients. The ceiling, however, is genuinely high, and AI writing tools used correctly can reduce research and drafting time, allowing you to serve more clients within the same 4-hour evening window. Specialized virtual assistants. Not general inbox management, but system-specific support. Managing a creator's newsletter workflow, running a real estate agent's CRM, handling the operational backend of a small business. Time to income: 1 to 2 months. This path offers something the others in this tier often don't: predictability. It's stable, recurring, and low drama. That stability is worth something when you're building Tier 3 assets in parallel. Technical video editing. Short-form content demand has created consistent work for editors who understand pacing, retention, and platform-specific formatting. DaVinci Resolve is free. The learning curve is real but manageable within 3 to 4 months of consistent practice. The reality: this is still largely a time-for-money trade, but at a meaningfully higher rate than Tier 1. The differentiator is understanding a creator's visual language, not just technical execution. Editors who can think like a director get retained. Editors who just cut footage get replaced. Graphic design and thumbnail creation. The demand here is platform-driven and growing. Fiverr, Upwork, and direct creator outreach all represent accessible entry points. Now, Canva lowers the barrier for foundational work, but Adobe-level proficiency opens higher-value clients. Every piece you produce becomes a portfolio asset. This skill compounds in a way that most Tier 2 services don't. Your body of work does part of the selling for you over time. Tier 3. Asset building, long timelines. This is where you build things that work while you're at your 9 to 5. The income becomes increasingly decoupled from your active hours, but only after a significant foundation phase that most people underestimate. Content-first affiliate systems, creating helpful reviews, tutorials, or comparison content around specific products and earning commission on sales generated through your links. This works across YouTube, blogs, newsletters, and social platforms. Time to income: 6 to 12 months minimum. You will likely work for months before seeing meaningful returns. What you're doing in that period is building a digital storefront. And once the traffic arrives, the income structure changes fundamentally. Niche newsletters, curating industry-specific information for a small dedicated audience. The leverage here is structural. Sending a well-crafted email to 10,000 subscribers takes the same time as sending it to 100. Email marketing platforms reduce the operational load significantly once the list is in place. Digital product sales packaging. Your Tier 2 expertise into a sellable format, a template pack, a structured guide, a workflow system for a specific professional role. Startup cost is low. Scalability is high. The key condition is that the product must solve a specific, documented problem for a defined audience. Sans com, generic products in saturated categories don't move. What no one tells you about these lists. At this point, you might be tempted to try 3 or 4 of these simultaneously. That is the fastest way to produce nothing. Every tier has a saturation layer. At the entry level, the competition is a sea of people doing the bare minimum with no differentiation. Breaking through requires moving from doing the task to building the system around the task. That shift takes focused time, which is the one resource you cannot multiply by spreading thin. Here's the failure pattern that runs across all 3 tiers. People underestimate the ramp-up phase, overestimate their available weekly hours, and abandon the path before the feedback loop begins. But there's a more specific failure mode worth naming. Choosing a Tier 3 path when you're in a Tier 1 situation. If your financial situation requires income movement within weeks, Starting a YouTube channel is the wrong lever. Not because it doesn't work, because the timeline doesn't match your constraint. The mismatch is what breaks people, not the strategy itself. Platform dependency is also underestimated across all tiers. Your income on Fiverr, YouTube, or any content platform is subject to algorithm changes and policy shifts outside your control. Building platform income without developing transferable skills underneath it creates fragility that isn't obvious until it collapses. Most people don't fail because of effort. They fail because they chose the wrong tier for their current situation. How to choose your starting point. 4 variables determine which tier you should enter on a time availability. If you have fewer than 10 reliable hours per week, start in Tier 1 and build toward one focused Tier 2 skill. Dividing limited hours across multiple tiers produces results in none of them. Existing skill clarity. If you already have a transferable skill, writing, design, editing, technical work, go directly to Tier 2. There's no reason to spend months in Tier 1 if you're already positioned above it. Financial runway. If your current income covers your obligations without strain, you can afford a Tier 3 timeline. If it doesn't, build the Tier 2 income first. Use that stability to fund the patience that Tier 3 requires. Personality and work style. Analytical, process-oriented people tend to do well in virtual assistants, data work, and systems-based roles. Creative, mamatuids, communication-driven people tend to gravitate toward writing, design, and content. Neither profile is wrong. The alignment matters more than the idea itself. The goal is to move up the ladder, not to stand on all the rungs at once. Tier 1 gives you income feedback and market exposure. Tier 2 gives you skill depth and real positioning. Tier 3 gives you compounding assets. They're sequential, and that sequence is the strategy. The framework, not the list. Online income isn't a shortcut. It's a series of decisions about where to place limited energy and whether those placements compound or just consume. If you spend your evenings building a system, you are buying back your future time. If you spend them completing gigs with no ceiling, you are simply working a second job at a lower rate. No worries, decide which tier matches your current constraints. Build the foundation. Move up when the structure supports it. That's the only version of this that actually works.